Now at 8 o'clock, we are just a couple of hours away from the plea deal hearing for the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students.
How can you say it's just when you haven't even talked to us to see what justice looks like for us?
More from family members of the victims who are speaking out about giving Bryan Kohberger the chance to avoid the death penalty. Plus,
stay with me. I can do this, okay? I know it hurts.
Intense moments as bystanders in Southwest Portland try to help a man who was shot and laying on the sidewalk. How police managed to track down the suspect.
also this hour, the U.S. House is under pressure to deliver President Trump a big tax and spending win before the holiday weekend.
I think it will be easier in the House than it was in the Senate.
After a tie-breaking vote in the Senate, can Republicans keep their caucus united to pass the big, beautiful bill? KGW News at Sunrise starts right now.
A very good Wednesday morning to you. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Stephanie Domrod in for China Green.
And I am Drew Carney, and we are not alone. We have a man who can do 2 jobs at the same time.
Pretty well, too.
His name is Chris McGinnis. He's got the weather and the traffic for us.
It is a busy morning out there for me anyway. Not for you on the roads. I'm happy to tell you that. I'll show you that in a second. But first off, let me show you this. It's been kind of fun to watch the cloud cover here banking up against the Cascades this morning. A sign of that changing air mass. If it's been too hot for you the last couple of days, we are dialing back the heat significantly today. Cloud cover over parts of the area. 58 last check at PDX. Elsewhere, we're 60 now in Hillsboro. Sherwood, King City checking in with 61. Still warm across eastern Oregon. Baker City now has jumped up to 71, 79 in Pendleton, and Bend just shy of 70 degrees. The plan for today, morning cloud cover in the northern Willamette Valley, specifically here in Portland. That will retreat. We will have afternoon sunshine, and temperatures today will be significantly cooler than yesterday. We were 89 yesterday. Today, we might not get out of the 70s. Let's get you to your drive. I want to start off with this. Traveling southbound on I-5 through Cowlitz and Clark County, not happening at this moment, but there will be some road maintenance that will be involving a left lane closure on southbound I-5, about a 15-20 mile stretch between Woodland and, or I should say Kalama and Ridgefield. So be on the lookout for that. Elsewhere on the system, let's take you over to Johnson Creek Boulevard, northbound 205, a little slow there. That's that orange line, indicative of that slow commute that you see on that side of town. We're moving along at about 25 miles an hour. Through North Portland, I-5 southbound also a little slow. The end of the line out of Clark County has made its way out of Clark County. You'll hit the slowing right around the Expo Center, and from there it's about 18 minutes to get you down to the Fremont Bridge. Stephanie?
All right, Chris, thank you. Today, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students is expected to agree to a plea deal. Now, the agreement would allow Bryan Kohberger to avoid the death penalty.
But it would also ensure that he spends the rest of his life in prison. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz is covering this story for us in the studio. So, Thomas, this has been a long time in the making. Can we talk more about how we got to today's plea hearing?
Yeah, well, guys, we got to go all the way back to November 13th of 2022 when these 4 victims were first found stabbed to death. It happened in a house just off campus at the University of Idaho in Moscow. Investigators determined the 4 students were killed just after 4 in the morning. More than a month later, on December 30th, the FBI located Kohberger at his parents' home in Pennsylvania and arrested him after investigators linked his DNA to a knife sheath found by one of the victims. Last fall, Kohberger's trial was moved from Moscow, Idaho, to Boise, the largest city in the state. And in April, a judge ruled the state could pursue the death penalty. Now, this week, we began to hear that a plea deal could be in the works. Sources say families of the victims received 2 letters, one laying out the terms of the plea deal, another saying Kohberger accepted it. That hearing will get underway a little bit later this morning. We're just a couple hours away at this point. But experts say Kohberger could decide not to accept it, or a judge could deny it if they don't believe that Kohberger voluntarily accepted the plea agreement. Drew?
All right, thank you, Thomas Schultz, with the latest on this morning's plea deal hearing. Also coming up at 10 o'clock, we're going to stream live coverage from the Kohberger plea hearing. You can find that on our free TV app, KGW+. Our team will hear from people in the courtroom. We'll be there to meet with family members as well immediately after this hearing. You can download KGW+, by the way, anytime for free through Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV.
Hundreds of people lined the streets yesterday to pay tribute to the 2 firefighters killed in an ambush in Idaho. It was part of a procession from Spokane to Coeur d'Alene to carry their remains home. Along the way, first responders and civilians stood in salute, waved flags, and shared sentiments like this.
There is a lot of support out there, and I just hope that people don't forget that this happened today, that we remember the firefighters today who lost their lives, and that we always remember not to let hate control us and not to let these things continue to happen, because this is truly a travesty.
Battalion Chiefs John Morrison and Frank Harwood were killed when authorities say a man started a brush fire, then opened fire at the crew who showed up. A third firefighter remains in the hospital. The gunman died by suicide. Authorities have not yet released a motive. As the search for the Washington man accused of killing his 3 daughters enters now a second month, investigators say evidence found at the crime scene where Travis Decker's 3 daughters were found murdered links him to their deaths. Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia were found near a campsite west of Leavenworth last month. Police confirmed 2 bloody handprints found at the scene match Decker's DNA. Search teams have been using canines and cadaver dogs to help track him down in the mountains of Chelan and Kittitas counties. Now the National Park Service is planning to send swiftwater rescue teams to search nearby lakes and rivers.
Deliberations are expected to continue today in the rape trial of former Trailblazers player Ben McLemore. We also want to remind you that some of the details in the story are graphic. The case stems from a 2021 house party in Lake Oswego. The prosecution says that their client was intoxicated from a night of heavy drinking when she was raped. The defense claims that McLemore had also been drinking, but that the sex was consensual.
There's absolutely no confusion in this case. When you look at all the surrounding circumstances and you assess the evidence in this case, I submit to you that the defendant is guilty.
The only reasonable verdict in a case where 2 people get drunk and have sex, and the man is drunker than the woman, the only reasonable verdict in a case like that is not guilty.
McLemore did take the stand last week in his own defense and denied the rape allegations.
A man is dead after he was shot yesterday afternoon in downtown Portland. It happened at the corner of Southwest Yamhill and 10th across from the Central Library. That's where bystanders found a man seriously injured on a sidewalk. Police say they arrested the suspect a few blocks away from the scene within minutes. The victim died at a hospital.
I don't know what happened, really. I really don't know what happened, but we did see him, and I'm so sorry to hear that.
The fact that it only happened 2 hours ago and he already died, that's so heartbreaking.
We still don't know the name of the suspect in this shooting.
All right, take a look at this. We're going to send you to Portugal now. Beachgoers in Portugal caught a rare giant roll cloud sweeping in from the ocean. So again, that's a cloud. That is not a wave.
It really looks like a wave,
yeah,
though,
it would
right?
be a scary wave,
Look.
right? It totally looks like a wave. Climate experts say this is not unheard of in Portugal. Oh boy, is my voice not going to make it through the
You're
story,
gonna get it.
Stephanie?
You're going to get it.
Let me clear my throat.
You're taken aback by this.
Okay, here we go. They say it is more common in places like Australia where cold air and hot temperatures clash more frequently. I've never seen anything like that.
No, I wonder if our meteorologist...
You're asking if I've ever seen one.
Can you explain?
Here, come in. If you have something to say, Stephanie, make your presence felt.
Just wondering. How does
Speaking
that
of,
work?
hi there.
Hi.
Super cool.
Yeah.
It almost looks like a horizontal, slow-moving tornado, right?
Yeah.
That was, and the only case that I've seen of that was when I worked as a forecaster in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Actually, I saw one coming off of Lake Michigan one time, and they are impressive, and it almost looked like it was AI generated, right? One of those things out of the movies, but super cool to see that. Also glad that there were no major severe storms associated with it as well. We had some storms popping across Oregon late yesterday afternoon and last evening. I'm going to take you back about 12 or 18 hours here. Satellite radar imagery showed some vigorous thunderstorm activity across the Central Cascades and points east. No word on any new fire starts, but of course with lightning always comes the potential for fire starts. There is the possibility of some storms from about Baker City to John Day to Burns down to Cay Falls and points east. So out in that part of our state, we may see some thunderstorm development later this afternoon. For us, Northwest Oregon, we are waking up to a little bit of cloud cover that is pushed in overnight and early this morning. That will retreat and give us some sunshine as we go into the afternoon. And therein is the storm threat for the eastern part of the state later today. 58 right now at the airport, 61 in Salem. Pendleton, almost 80 degrees already, though. So the eastern quadrant of the state still quite warm. Live over downtown Portland, you can see some of that cloud cover that has worked its way up against the Cascades and has been building steadily back westward throughout the morning. It will eventually retreat, and we will see sunshine this afternoon. but I'm not sure we even get to 80 degrees. So we are stair-stepping down. We were 90 on Sunday, 94 on Monday, yesterday 89, and today 80 is iffy, and I think upper 70s will do it for Thursday and Friday. So one of the more comfortable 4th of Julys that we've had in the last couple of years. All right, let's get you out the door with a look at the roads. I'm going to start off by zooming into North Portland. I-5 southbound, puttered along at about 15 miles an hour near Lombard. The end of the line, by the way, on that I-5 southbound commute has made its way down to the Expo Center. So as you work your way out of Clark County, you'll zip along over the Interstate Bridge, and then you'll hit that wall of traffic from about Victory Boulevard down to Columbia Boulevard. A quick check of the west side. There's the Sunset inbound climbing the hill near Sylvan. Your west side drive time averaging about 21 minutes to get you in from Hillsborough to the Vista Ridge Tunnel.
All right, sounds good, Chris. Thank you. And coming up here at 8, a legal fight featuring 2 retail heavyweights. Why Lululemon is suing Costco. That's coming up in your national headlines. Plus,
President Trump's massive tax and spending bill is back in the House after narrowly making it through the Senate. I'm Alice Barr in Washington. Coming up, the objections some House members are raising as Republicans are racing to get this bill to the president's desk before the July 4th holiday.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
And out to your morning rush, a New York jury has reached a verdict in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs, finding him guilty of 2 counts, both for transportation to engage in prostitution. He was facing 5 charges in all. Now, this is a live look outside the federal courthouse in New York. Combs was acquitted on 2 counts of sex trafficking and 1 count of racketeering. Yesterday, the jurors were deadlocked on that racketeering charge before acquitting Combs this morning. We will follow this story and update you as we learn more. The Pentagon has halted some missile shipments to Ukraine over low stockpiles. The delay includes air defense interceptors promised under the Biden administration, used to shoot down Russian drones and missiles. Thousands are without power after storms swept through parts of Las Vegas on Tuesday. The storm unleashed near hurricane-force wind gusts that toppled trees and downed power lines. A severe thunderstorm warning was also issued for that area. Lululemon is suing Costco for allegedly selling knockoffs. The apparel company claims that the knockoffs infringe on their patent and confuse customers. Costco did not immediately respond to NBC's request for comment. And that is your morning rush. This morning, the House will hold a procedural vote on President Trump's big, beautiful bill.
This comes after the Senate passed the bill yesterday with a tie-breaking vote that came from Vice President J.D. Vance. NBC's Alice Barr brings us the latest from Washington, D.C.
This morning, the big bill back in the hands of the House with the pressure on to get it to President Trump's desk by Friday.
I think it will be easier in the House than it was in the Senate.
To meet the timeline, the House can't make any changes to the Senate version. Some members already raising objections, as Speaker Mike Johnson promises to pass the president's domestic policy agenda.
We're working through that, talking to all members and all caucuses and everybody else. But we remain optimistic we're going to land this plane.
Planes posing problems of their own, with stormy weather canceling flights across the country. Some House members hitting the road.
Let's go deliver on President Trump's agenda
to make it back to vote as soon as today.
We're going to drive overnight.
Including Democrats united in trying to stop what they call
this one big ugly bill that will rip health care away from millions of Americans.
It all comes after the Senate narrowly passed the bill with a tie-breaking vote from Vice President J.D. Vance.
Vice President votes in the affirmative.
All Democrats and 3 Republicans voted no, including Senator Rand Paul, who criticized a carve-out softening Medicaid cuts in Alaska to win over Senator Lisa Murkowski.
To get the vote of the Alaska senator, billions and billions and billions more were added.
My response is, I have an obligation to the people of the state of Alaska. Do I like this bill? No, because I tried to take care of Alaska's interests.
The Medicaid cuts aimed at offsetting the bill's extended Trump tax cuts, plus no tax on tips and overtime, and funding for defense and deportations.
Objections raised in the House are split, with some fiscal conservatives concerned the bill doesn't do enough to cover its costs. It's projected to add more than $3 trillion to the deficit, while moderates worry about the Senate version's deeper cuts to federal aid, with more than 11 million Americans expected to lose their health insurance. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And back here at home, let's give you a live look this morning from our Salem Skycam at the state capitol. A lovely shot out there.
It is getting a remake, I guess, or something.
The gold guy, yeah, they've been doing construction on the Capitol down there for a long time, since last summer. And I don't know when that construction project is going to end completely, but you're right.
Will it still be gold?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe we're scraping some of the gold off that too.
You don't want to downgrade the gold guy.
No,
you want to make
no,
it silver, right?
We could put some
Bronze?
diamonds on them, or maybe some diamond rhinestones. I don't know. Hey, let's talk heat.
Yeah, I want to say it was so nice. I felt like overnight it was cooler last
It definitely
night.
got
So
cooler,
nice.
and that cooling trend will last into the next couple of days, which is in stark contrast to actually where we've been the last couple of 4th of July holidays, right? Because we've had some hot ones, and going into the next few days, not so much. But here's where we are. We were just short of 90 degrees yesterday, so our 90-degree tally sits at 4. Average number of 90-degree days in the month of July, 4. Last year, 13. You know what? We've had more. 15 back in 2018. There were also 11 summers where there were no 90-degree days, since records have been kept at PDX starting in 1941. All right, all that said, the outlook from the Climate Prediction Center does trend. I think Rod may have shown you this yesterday, but it basically highlights that the heat will be around, and there will be some 90-degree heat. And in fact, I do have some 90-degree heat in my 7-day forecast, but just not in the next few days. We're actually getting a nice little break from the heat that we had. We do have some cloud cover over parts of downtown Portland right now. It's 58 degrees at the airport. The fog has lifted a little bit from our Lincoln City camera. This is courtesy of the Chinook Winds Casino Resort. 55 there. And the beach forecast today, clouds will be pretty stubborn along the north coast, but the central and south coast should see a good deal of afternoon sunshine. Newport gets to about 62. I'm taking you out to the Dalles. Usually I zoom in on Mount Hood, but I wanted to show you the trees there that are really whipping in the breeze. The breeze has been strong out in the gorge. It's gusting to 31 right now in the Dalles. And in fact, the farther east you go out towards like the Columbia Basin, Arlington area, maybe some 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts today. So for that reason, the fire danger is elevated in the East Gorge and the Columbia Basin today, and really because of the dry conditions and the gusty wind. 84 in the Dalles, though. That temperature will be cooler than you were yesterday. We had triple-digit heat the last few days out there. Baker City, 88. Burns, 88 as well. There is a slight chance of some thunderstorms for let's say eastern Crook County, and then getting out towards Baker County and down towards the Burns area as well. Up and down the I-5 corridor, again, the story for today is cooler, significantly cooler today than where we've been the last few days. We may or may not get to 80 in Portland. I've got McMinnville at 80, Salem at 81. Check this out, up towards Longview, maybe 73 to 75. So a nice change of pace from the heat that we had the last few days, and we will ride that nice weather right on into the holiday weekend. So again, this is one of the nicer, more comfortable 4th of July holidays that I think we've had in the last few years, which is is nice because, you know, it can be hot this time of the year. It was hot last year at this time. It is not going to be hot for a few days until we get into early next week. Okay, let's get you out the door with a look at the roads right now. I'm going to start off actually by grabbing the correct clicker. Not going to be able to do the traffic report with the weather clicker. All right, let's zoom in. Westbound I-84. We are a little slow through the Hollywood district, but not bad. Right now, your trip in from Troutdale is averaging about 23 minutes. Through North Portland, I-5 southbound, puttering along between Columbia Boulevard and Lombard. The end of the line on the southbound I-5 commute, though, has cleared out of Clark County. So as you look at this drive time, most of this 17 minutes is between Victory Boulevard and the Fremont Bridge. So, Drew, really mostly so good. So far, so good on the roads.
Thank you, Chris.
It's going to be Europe in no time. You're going to have to be a baller just to drive.
That's kind of a diabolical laugh. That dude definitely has a good attitude when it comes to what we're talking about next. The state of Washington raising its gas tax, and that means gas prices that were already high in the state have become even higher. We'll have more on this right after a quick break.
KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free. On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus.
We have now issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW Plus.
Welcome back to Sunrise. High gas prices in Washington are even higher now after lawmakers raised the state's gas tax by 6 cents a gallon. KGW's Devin Haskins talked to local drivers about this increase. No shortage of opinions here.
6 cents. It may not sound like a lot, but it already has some thinking of making a change.
We're even considering getting a new vehicle just because of that, possibly a hybrid or electric now. It's just cheaper.
For the first time in 9 years, Washington State increasing its gas tax from 49 cents to 55.
That's a lot, and it's definitely going to impact how often I fill up my car, probably how many trips I take throughout the summer, and which vehicle we decide to take for sure.
And for others, it's less about this hike and more about what feels like a never-ending trend.
I think we're one of the highest in the country, it seems like, and so I'm against any new gas taxes, of course.
California, Washington, and Oregon have some of the highest average gas prices in the United States. According to AAA, Washington's average gallon of gas costs $4.42. Only Hawaii and California are more expensive.
I got buddies down south that are only paying like $2.50, $3. So obviously there's a vast discrepancy between $3 and $4.50, $4.60, and now another 6 cents.
The increase was approved with the passage of Senate Bill 5801, which is estimated to raise more than $1 billion over the next 6 years to address a budget shortfall in the state's transportation budget.
I'm not going to stop driving. That's why they know they can charge more. Nobody is.
And for drivers like Foley Abbott, who remember lower prices a few decades ago,
it was $1.07, $1.08.
The sticker shock hits even harder.
It's going to be Europe in no time. You're going to have to be a baller just to drive.
And this won't be the final increase, because starting next year, Washington State will implement a 2% increase on the gas tax, and that is tied to inflation. That starts July 1st, 2026. In Vancouver, I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
There were also several new laws that went into effect in Washington. One of them bans employers from threatening workers over their immigration status, and another one reduces financial aid to college students. That law means that public colleges in Washington will get hit with funding cuts. Lawmakers passed it as part of the cuts to the state's budget. Let's talk about some new e-bike rules now in the state of Oregon. So e-bikes are allowed on the same trails as regular bikes at this point, unless specifically prohibited at a state park. You can also ride your e-bike along the ocean shore, but only on wet sand. Don't even think about riding it on dry sand. E-bikes are still not allowed on dry sand at either the beach or on sand dunes. There are some more specifics here. You can check out where exactly you can and can't use your e-bike by going to the Oregon State Parks website. All right, starting this week, you will have to pay more to park in some of Portland's busiest areas. That includes downtown. The Portland Bureau of Transportation updated street parking rates just yesterday. So we're going to give you a look at some of the new hourly rates by districts. Downtown, sitting right there at $3. And the first hour, by the way, in downtown also has an additional fee of 60 cents. So there you go. Other prices include $2 Central East Side, Markham Hill $2.60. Peabody announced, by the way, that it will have a phased extension of meter hours at night from 7 to 10 p.m. Quick break here, but coming up in our next half hour, we will continue coverage of the plea deal this morning of Bryan Kohberger.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stay informed, prepared, and connected with KGW and KGW Plus. Coverage that alerts you to what's coming and how it will impact you. Watch extended weather coverage on KGW Plus. The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust. Track how the weather will impact your day. Breaking news, live from the scene. All the local news you need. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Issued a weather impact alert.
We could expect conditions in some parts of our area to change drastically pretty soon, right?
And very quickly, yes.
This is significant rainfall
Good morning, I'm Drew Carney. The man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students 3 years ago is expected to agree to a plea deal today. Sources say the deal would prevent Bryan Kohberger from facing the death penalty, but would also make sure that he spends the rest of his life in prison. It is worth noting here that Kohberger could decide not to plead guilty at any time and continue on with the trial that was supposed to start in August. By the way, this morning at 10 o'clock, we will stream live coverage from Bryan Kohberger's plea hearing. You can find that on our free TV app, KGW Plus, which you can download for free through Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. All right, Chris, what do you have for us in the Weather Center?
You know, Drew, I wanted to start off with this. Our visible satellite imagery, now that the sun is up and it has been up long enough, it gives us the real look of the clouds from above. And you can see how the clouds have kind of worked their way up the mouth of the Columbia River and into downtown Portland, Vancouver. Those are going to fade as we go through the day, but they're out there right now. 58. Last check at PDX, Cooler this afternoon with afternoon sunshine. We may not get to 80 today, so a nice cool down from the 90s or near 90-degree heat we've been experiencing.
Well, as Europe endures a heat wave with record temperatures in several countries, firefighters in the Dutch town of Soest turned a local park into a giant sprinkler, helping residents there beat the heat. They invited families to bring their water guns and swimsuits, promising everyone would get soaked. Dozens turned out to cool off and also have some fun. Bring your super soaker there.
This may be the most international version of the Sunrise Show we've ever had. Over the last few hours, we've been in Portugal, we've been in Croatia, I believe we've been in Denmark.
Yeah.
I never even heard of that city you just mentioned.
Soest.
Soest.
I hadn't either, but they're having a great time.
Let's bring in the Kiwis.
I like
How they
it.
doing down there?
Yeah,
Let's
New
get to the other
Zealand.
side of the globe. Let me start off with something that I thought was kind of cool. Now that we're deeper into deeper into our Sunrise Show streaming here, we're later in the morning, and so that gives us more sunlight, more daylight to give you the actual visible satellite imagery here to show you how those clouds have basically intruded up the mouth of the Columbia River and into the Portland-Vancouver metro area. A sign of the cooler air mass that is in place across the region today. There's the morning clouds. It's 58 last check at PDX, and the plan for today will be somewhat cloudy this morning, but we will see sunshine and cooler temperatures this afternoon. We were 90 on Sunday. We were 94 on Monday. Yesterday, 89, so close to 90. Today will be nowhere near 90 degrees. In fact, we may knock it out of the 70s, not only today, but Thursday and Friday as well. I do have hot weather back in the extended forecast. We'll look at that coming up in just a few minutes. Let's get you out the door with a look at the roads, and we start off with a crash, possible injury crash here in northeast Portland. It's on Sandy Boulevard. It appears that westbound traffic is really backed up now near 142nd. In fact, I'll step out of the way, and you can see that lineup on Sandy extends for a good mile and a half. So traffic a little slow around that. Giving you different perspectives here with the traffic cameras. There's the west side, Highway 26, a little slow climbing the Sylvan Hill, and westbound I-84 again a little tight through the gate or from Gateway into Hollywood. Right now, it's about an 18-minute ride to get you from 205 to downtown. Stephanie.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. The man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students 3 years ago is expected to plead guilty this morning. In doing so, Brian Koberger is expected to spend the rest of his life in prison, but will avoid the death penalty.
Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz has been covering the story for us all morning here in the studio. So Thomas, this plea hearing will start at about 10 o'clock our time this morning. What else do we expect to happen today?
Yeah, Drew, 10 o'clock our time, and Brian Koberger is expected to plead guilty, that is, to 4 different murder charges. And this is coming a couple months after a judge ruled the state could pursue the death penalty. Koberger is accused of killing Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin in 2022. This plea agreement came as a surprise to some of the victims' families. A spokesperson for Chapin's family says they do support the move, though Gonzalez's family is adamantly against it.
The host failed. They failed me. They failed my whole family. It's my daughter. It's our children. How can you say it's just when you haven't even talked to us to see what justice looks like for us?
Under the plea deal, Koberger would give up his right to appeal. Sources say victims' families received 2 letters, one laying out the terms of the plea deal, another saying Koberger accepted it. And this morning, that plea deal is expected to be finalized, though again, Koberger could change his mind, or the judge could reject the agreement, which would send this case back to trial. Stephanie.
Thomas, thank you. And this morning at 10 o'clock, we will be streaming live coverage from Brian Koberger's plea hearing on our free TV app, KGW+. Our team will hear from people in the courtroom. We will also meet with family members immediately after, as we are able, after that hearing. You can download KGW+ anytime on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. And back here closer to home, an asylum seeker picked up by ICE outside a Portland courtroom is set to be released.
A federal judge ruled that the government had no legal basis for detaining him in the first place. The 24-year-old from Mexico, who had been living in Newport, was arrested June 5th after showing up for an immigration hearing in downtown Portland. His attorneys say he had no criminal history and followed all the requirements needed since he applied for asylum protection here in the U.S. And he was also just issued work authorization the day before he was detained.
Individuals seeking safety in this country are allowed to lawfully do that. And they are going through a process and being detained in this case, even despite following every single rule. It's really important that we understand the humanity behind these sweeping statistics and understand how it is the government, not these individuals, who is taking unlawful action here.
It's still not clear, though, if he's been released yet or not from the ICE facility in Tacoma. Meanwhile, that man is one of at least 5 asylum seekers who have been arrested outside court in downtown Portland.
In another case, witnesses recorded ICE agents pulling a man and his mother over after their immigration hearing. The Innovation Law Lab says it has seen cases in 19 states where the government requests an immigration case be dismissed, and then as soon as the person leaves court, they are arrested.
Both Oregon and Washington have joined a multi-state lawsuit over health information being shared with ICE. So we know that states routinely share some personal information with the federal government through Medicaid. But this lawsuit claims that information was then given to Homeland Security for immigration enforcement. The suit calls it an illegal breach of privacy by the Trump administration.
4 protesters appeared in federal court this week after being charged in ongoing demonstrations outside the South Portland ICE facility. Their charges range from creating a disturbance to assaulting a federal officer and arson. All 4 were released with conditions while they await further court proceedings.
A family is cleaning up days after an explosive rocked their home there in Washington near Seattle. That blast we just saw a moment ago was captured on security camera.
Scary situation there. Madeline Carter with our sister station in Seattle found out the damage was caused by a single firework.
Days before the 4th of July, this is a prime example of why fireworks are so dangerous.
It was very loud.
So loud. It shook Debbie Vallejos' entire family awake.
When it exploded, this is what it broke.
She's still trying to process the toll the firework took on her home on 19th Avenue East, from chipped paint to a gaping hole.
I don't know why they would target my home, but I was the target.
Pierce County Sheriff Deputy Carly Capetto says last weekend's late-night attack was, in fact, targeted.
This victim and the family had clearly been harassed by these suspects for quite some time.
Her department tracked down a 45-year-old and a teenager who were in the car the explosive was thrown from. Capetto says they told deputies it was just a firework.
These kind of fireworks should be illegal.
Turns out they were.
This was an illegal firework.
Even though some tribal stands sell M80s like this, it's against the law to own them in Washington.
Yeah, it was a sparkler bomb, or that was probably the fuse for it.
Deputies arrested the adult suspect, who may face charges. As for the teen, a juvenile prosecutor will decide the consequences for turning a firework into a weapon that left a woman and her family shaken.
It could have been a lot worse. They could have burnt my house down, and they could have taken out all 4 of us.
The Pierce County Sheriff Department bomb squad will be on high alert for any fireworks or explosive calls throughout the July 4th holiday. Reporting in Pierce County, Madeline Carter.
So that was pretty crazy video, right? So is this. The most explosive part of this video is coming up here in about 2 seconds. A Central California fireworks warehouse caught fire, and there you see the huge explosion that happened after the fire started. Everyone within a mile radius was ordered to evacuate. Firefighters had to pull back from that building. You can imagine why. The ongoing explosions made it really difficult to fight that fire, and there's still no word this morning on what started it or if anyone was hurt. Following that, we also have this reminder locally. Fireworks are still banned, in the city of Portland, except for licensed professional shows. So again, it is illegal to sell them or use them anywhere within the city of Portland. If you set fireworks off in the city, you could face citations, you could face fines, and you could even face jail time if those fireworks injure somebody or start a fire.
It is Wednesday. We're looking ahead to the 4th of July holiday. Let's check in with Chris with a look at your weather. It's cooling down compared to what we've seen, right?
It is cooling down, and despite the cool down, of course, conditions are still dry. So back to the fireworks story. I mean, it's not rocket science here. We're coming into the driest part of our year, right? So far, no rain in July. Not that we've only been into it 2 days, but in any event, for July and August, we get like an inch of rain total for the month, and that is skewed by the few years that we've had a thunderstorm or two, right? So with that in mind, I just wanted to point out that like we're probably trending towards another dry summer here with probably less than a half an inch of rain, but dry and sunny and pleasant out there right now, and cooler than yesterday. It's 58 last check at PDX. Right now we're 60 in Hillsborough and Sherwood, 63 Westland, and the big perspective across the state. Still warm east of the Cascades and specifically out into the Columbia Basin, where there is a threat, not in the Columbia Basin per se, but across eastern Oregon, there still is a threat for some thunderstorm development later today. And in fact, you'll see that reflected on future casts in a second. Cloud cover retreating from the Columbia River Valley and the Willamette Valley today, so we'll finish the day with sunshine. There are some of those showers that may pop up later today from about Klamath Falls up towards John Day and east towards Baker City. If you drew a line between those cities and points east, there's where the thunderstorm threat is today. Temperature-wise, big cool down from yesterday. Futurecast is insistent that Portland does not get out of the 70s. Now, I've got us at 80 degrees, but the point is that the models keep trending downwards. So a nice, more comfortable stretch of weather taking us into our 4th of July holiday. Only have us at 79 on Friday. We do stair step it back up, and then it looks like we'll start to get back into some hot weather. How hot, not sure yet. How fast that 90-degree heat returns, also not sure, but next week does look a bit on the warm side. All right, let's get you out the door with a quick look at the roads. There is a different perspective, showing you 4 cameras in one shot. The drive is improving out there, but we have a couple slow spots. Let's zoom in on one of them. Westbound 84 rolling into the Hollywood district, slow rolling there in those westbound lanes, moving from right to left, 14 miles an hour or so, about 18 minutes to get you in from Gateway, or let's say 24 minutes from Troutdale to downtown. And the I-5 North Drive from Wilsonville, it's not so bad at Wilsonville, but getting through the 205 interchange is a little slow right now. 41 minutes, your drive from Wilsonville Road to downtown.
All right, Chris, thank you. And still ahead, the Portland Timbers announced a new expansion that their coach calls a game changer. We'll explain that ahead.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Welcome back to Sunrise. Just into the newsroom, we now know the name of the person accused of shooting and killing a man in downtown Portland yesterday afternoon. Police say 26-year-old Hassan M. Muse faces 2 charges, second-degree murder and unlawful use of a weapon. The shooting happened at the corner of Southwest 10th and Yamhill. Again, this was right in the middle of the day, right across from the Central Library. That's where bystanders found the victim on the sidewalk. Police arrested Muse a few blocks away from the scene just a few minutes later. They are still investigating this, of course, and they're asking anyone with information about the shooting to give them a call.
The Portland Timbers have made a big investment in the club's future, buying 13 acres of land from the Tualatin Hills Park and Rec District to expand its existing training facility. Our Art Edwards has the story.
This is familiar territory for the Portland Timbers. They've been training here since 2011, using space they lease from the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District. 2 fields and space in the buildings on the property. Over the years, they have expanded and invested millions in upgrades. Now, that has changed.
And we own this entire 13-acre site. We're going to be able to put in a best-in-class performance center. It's going to be amazing. It's a huge investment in the future of the club.
Total investment will be about $40 million. The facility will be known as the Portland Timbers Performance Facility. The expansion will include a second grass field to give them 3 fields overall, a viewing deck to watch training, and expanded office space.
I think it's a game changer for us. Without a shadow of a doubt, I think we will have the best training facility in the Pacific Northwest, for sure. It's a big commitment from the ownership, and we're really, really excited.
Club owner Merritt Paulson said they had been working on this deal for about 4 years. He called it a tremendously complex deal.
It wasn't just about the purchase. We obviously had to find THPRD another home for their fleet. Beside that gate right there where their fleet is parked, they had to find a home for, and it had to be in this general vicinity.
This project isn't just about the Portland Timbers and developing a top-tier training facility. Beaverton's mayor says this is a big win for the city.
This is turning a Parks and Rec facility into an economic engine that's going to start paying property taxes. And for Beaverton, that's a really big deal.
The club will also donate over $1 million to THPRD to help fund participation and access to sports for underserved youth. The hope is to have the initial renovations done sometime next year. Art Edwards, KGW News.
All right, from the Timbers, we move over to the Oregon Zoo. Quick live look inside the zoo this morning. It is 8:45, right? I don't think the zoo opens until 9, but maybe I'm wrong because
got an early pass then.
Yeah, maybe it does open at 8:30 in the summer.
VIP treatment.
I can check on zoo start times as Chris gets into the forecast here. One thing we know for sure, it will be a nice day today at the zoo.
Yeah, I mean, after 3 days in the night, well, 89, close enough.
Yeah,
yesterday.
it's been very hot.
It's 94 on Monday, 90 on Sunday. Yeah. Been warm. So we're going to dial it back a little bit, and we're going to thank the marine cloud cover for doing some of that, or at least the evidence of the change in air mass here. This is the visible satellite imagery. Now that the sun has been up longer, this gives us the actual real look at the clouds as opposed to infrared, which gives us kind of a proxy of temperatures and converts that to clouds and et cetera. Anyway, what I'm saying is that this is actual cloud cover, and you can see that that has pushed up through the mouth of the Columbia and into the Portland metro area this morning. It's also kind of cool. You can see some of the topography of the Coast Range, and over the last couple of frames, you can also see that cloud cover already retreating along the central and southern Oregon coast, and already clouds starting to pop again in eastern Oregon. More on that and what that means for your forecast in a minute. 58 last check in downtown. It's 59 in Beaverton. Sherwood checking in with 60. Same story in Wilsonville, and Salem sitting at 61. Futurecast today has that cloud cover retreating from the Willamette River Valley today, and so we will finish our day with sun. Meanwhile, east of a line from about Baker City to John Day and then down to Lakeview, anywhere along and east of that, you have a threat for some thunderstorms today, and that's what Futurecast is showing. Meanwhile, everyone else is high and dry and maybe a little breezy as well. Check this out in the gorge. Northwest winds gusting out towards the Dalles right now at 31 miles an hour. You get a feel for that a little bit down there as you see that tree kind of whipping in the wind. And so those west winds will be ratcheting up a bit today through the Columbia Basin, maybe upwards of 40 miles an hour at times. For that reason, a red flag warning is up for the possibility of high fire danger, meaning if a fire were to get going, the conditions would contribute to a rapid spread of said fire. So obviously be careful, it's exceptionally careful with anything that could throw a spark. Warm, but not as warm. 84 in the Dalles today. Again, eastern Oregon warm with that chance of some thunderstorms. LeGrand gets up to about 89. Baker City, you have a chance of an afternoon storm and a high of 88. I don't know that central Oregon has the storm threat unless you go into Crook County. So Prineville and points east, maybe a slight chance of storms, especially in the higher terrain, but a little cooler with some sun for you. At the beach, we've been in and out of the fog and the low clouds at Lincoln City, partly sunny at last check, 55 there. We'll get up to about 62 in Astoria. The clouds will be a little more stubborn along the north coast than the south coast. And then the I-5 corridor, here's the sweet spot. I mean, after a couple of days of some heat, how about 80? Maybe not even 80 in Vancouver today. 81 in Salem, 81 in Corvallis. Locations that were in the 90s yesterday will be in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees today. That's what I have here for Portland. 78 tomorrow, 79 on the 4th of July Friday. So one of the more, hey, look at that guy.
Hey, I was hoping I could join you for
Look
the
at
end of
that
this.
guy. Oh,
Before you get to the
I
traffic.
could just walk in here.
Before we get to the traffic, can we quickly go back to the zoo? Because remember I said I was going to look up zoo hours?
Yes.
I was right. The zoo doesn't open until 9 o'clock in the morning, so I'm now wondering, who are these people we see floating around?
They're clearly the VIPs.
Did they sneak in?
They're getting the VIP treatment.
They're not workers. They've got kids. They've got strollers. But for the common Joe, your Oregon Zoo does open at 9 o'clock in the morning, and during the
Drew,
summer stays open until 6. Yes,
you're the
Chris.
one that does that Drew at the zoo segment.
Yes.
Yeah, and you don't get to go in early?
Maybe you
They
should
don't
go
give you VIP,
get
huh?
the skinny on that, because I think my kids would like to go a little early.
I don't think we should encourage it. I don't think we should encourage it.
I think we should.
Chris?
A little
zoo hours are 9 to 6.
A little payola here. Come on now. All right, let's get you out the door. This is a traffic map right now showing the inbound Sunset still slow. Speaking of the Sunset near the zoo, getting a little bit busy on that side of town. Your drive times right now, 23 minutes on Highway 26 to get you in from Hillsborough to downtown. And the slower commute of late now has been the North End I-5 drive. Not necessarily in Wilsonville, but as you get up into the Twilliger curves and points north, traffic is running a little thick there, as it is on westbound I-84, the Banfield between 205 and downtown. 14 miles an hour, that commute kind of puttering along. And last but not least, I-5 southbound. This actually looks as good as it's looked in the last hour, so traffic winding down as we get deeper into our, what day is it? Wednesday morning commute. Drew, I think you're going to do some birthdays now. Get back to work, man.
These people know what day it is because this day is their birthday.
Big day.
Let's lead off the birthday segment with Maverick, feeling real good about turning 6 years old.
Happy birthday.
Beautiful smile. Leo, strong birthday number 7.
Nice.
All right, Leo, go get it. Oh yeah, Kyle, did you want to do this segment? I'm sorry.
No, but I like this photo. It's an action shot. It's pretty cool stuff. And actually, apparently it was actually yesterday, so happy belated birthday by one day. But Kyle is a 3rd time ESPN Oregon handball champion, Drew.
I've heard this about Kyle.
I love that.
Impressive.
Awesome.
Who's next?
Let's say happy birthday to Mark. He is turning 61 today. Happy birthday. Hope it's a great one. And happy birthday to Lloyd. We don't know what year, but it's going to be a great day for Lloyd.
It looks like he's, I don't know, 29 maybe to me. I'm not sure.
Happy
29?
birthday. Happy birthday, Lloyd. And finally, happy 75th birthday to Irene Holland. Big happy birthday to you. Hope it's a great day and a great year. And if you have a birthday shout out you want us to share on air, we'd love to hear from you. You can send us an email to birthdays@kgw.com. We'll be right back.
The KGW Plus TV app, streaming 24/7. Local news from the team you trust on your time. Track how the weather will impact your day.
Certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
Extended, continuous coverage of breaking news, live from the scene.
That snowpack is still heavy.
Go deeper with in-depth interviews and exclusive reporting. All the local news you need, live or on demand. KGW Plus. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Quick recap of some of this morning's top local stories. The man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students 3 years ago is expected to agree to a plea deal today. Sources say this deal would prevent Brian Koberger from having to face the death penalty, but he would spend the rest of his life in prison. Some family members of the victims say they didn't want this plea deal. Now, it is worth noting Koberger could decide to not plead guilty at any time here, and in that case, his trial would continue on. An asylum seeker detained by ICE outside a Portland courtroom is set to be released. A federal judge ruled that there was no legal basis for his arrest in the first place. The 24-year-old from Mexico had no criminal history and followed all immigration rules since he started seeking asylum here in the U.S. He even received work authorization just 1 day before he was detained. And firefighters say kids playing with fireworks sparked a fire in the Hazelwood neighborhood of Portland. They damaged a house. They also damaged a school playground. This serves as a reminder. Fireworks are banned in the city of Portland. The only exception, licensed shows. And if you set them off, you could face fines or even jail time if someone is either hurt or property is burnt from those fireworks.
All right, today, nicer. If you were kind of tired of the heat, we're getting a little break for a couple days. Yeah, how about that? 80 or maybe not this afternoon. Morning clouds, afternoon sun, upper 70s. Then we'll do it on Thursday and the 4th of July, one of the more comfortable ones that we've had in recent memory. Let's get you out the door with a look at the roads. We start off with probably one of our biggest slow spots now. I-5 northbound, getting out of the Twilliger curves. Traffic between Capitol Highway and the Markham Bridge is especially thick. And at last check now, we're looking at about 38 minutes to get you in from Wilsonville to downtown.
Well, we weren't the only ones dealing with a lot of heat. Here was some cool relief for animals at the Prague Zoo, where workers brought in tons of ice to help beat the summer heat there. Polar bears Alut and Gregor, I may not be saying their names correctly, but they sure are cute, who come from the Arctic, were spotted rolling around just chilling out in their icy playground there. Yeah, temperatures in Prague were pushing 98 degrees. Poor bears, that is not natural for them. So the zoo says it will keep that ice coming for at least 10 more days. Having a good time out there.
Yeah, she's sitting right here next to me. Absolutely. I got Prague on the phone.
I messed up the name.
No. Actually, they're saying that you got it right. Exactly right. Okay, thank you. I just passed it along.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Drew's got connections.
That's confirmation.
That's it for the Sunrise Show. On a Wednesday morning, we will see you back here for a Thursday edition of Sunrise. In fact, we'll see you starting at 5 o'clock. How about that?
Have a great day.